And the first thing to know is that I try to avoid wrestling up from positions where I am in front of Bird's hips, okay, while he has his hips under him. Because while I could surprise someone with a blast double and come forward, it's very easy for him to start to pressure back into me or come over the top of me and either put me back down or threaten me with guillotines or kimuras or stuff that I don't want to have to deal with, okay? You're going to have a lower success rate if you're constantly wrestling up from in front of your opponent, all right? So I try to wrestle up from behind their hips or in times where their hips are not underneath them and their weight is too far away from the leg that I'm trying to scoop. Most of the time I'm looking for single leg entries, okay? There's different ways they could react to this dummy sweep though, okay? The first is very little reaction at all. Very little reaction at all, where they just kind of step back, but their weight is still underneath them, maybe a little further than that. I would not try to wrestle up from this position. I would use the fact that he stepped back to try to attach to him in some kind of shin on shin and maybe then go for another dummy sweep or go for a wrestle up, okay? If he steps way back, now you can tell he's going to step that far back while his foot's in the air and while his hips are pivoting. You can see the angle of the pivot. He's going to step pretty far back. Before he plants his foot, I'm going to be initiating my wrestle up, okay? Because if I wait until his foot's on the mat, even though he has his weight on that leg, he can transfer his weight to this leg and he can start to push me back down. So when I go to scoop his leg, he's going to be able to push back into me. Okay, so I want to do this while he's stepping here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch my foot to an inside hook. This foot's going to come to the inside as my left foot goes to the outside. So I'm going to take that shin hook out as my right leg starts to hook it. And I'm trying to hook it with anywhere from my heel to my knee. But in an ideal world, I actually get this hooked underneath my knee to the point where if I stood up with no hands, I could pick his knee up. Okay, that is what I'm looking for. But I do usually use my hands to pick his leg up, which obviously, okay? So my hook on my leg doesn't have to be as good because my hands are helping, all right? So, now, if the guy does fall literally all the way over, all right, off of this dummy sweep, okay? So he falls, you shouldn't wait until he hits the mat to start coming up, okay? You should always be following up all of your sweeps, okay? Because if I wait here, now I decide to come up, you see, he can kind of get his hips under him before I can get my hips under me. And now it's going to be kind of a harder scramble where I'm trying to back up with his legs, but his hips are just a little higher than mine, so he's pushing me backwards, and I might get knocked